here's what's left of my main computer after upgrading it. I would like to reuse the case, although you can see it's really going to need a cleaning. I gotta reorganize all those screws, but I still have the old CPU here. And I need to do something with that, because I'm not going to let that go to waste. There's some question, or I have some question, as to whether or not that's actually going to work. Because I don't know if the CPU is what was giving me my lockup problem, or if it's this power supply. It could be this power supply. This is a fairly old power supply that I've had for a while. I'm trying to think. I don't think that was the original one, but I've probably had it for almost 5 or 6 years at this point. So it's been around the block. So I could believe that it's bad. I could also believe that CPU is bad, because I know I had problems with the onboard video when I was using it. It would crash with a blue screen and give me a complaint about the video. So maybe that chip's bad. I don't know, but I'm going to find out, because I need to build a new VM host, because I am really starting to exhaust the space on the ones that I've got, the memory space. So I need to have another one upgraded to 64 gigabytes. And the way that I've chosen to do this is the cheap way, which is probably the wrong way to do this, and I'm guessing it's probably going to go poorly, considering what I know. But I got a new board. This board has 8 SATA ports on it. Pretty nice board. It's the same board that I've got in my wireless bridge computer. It's kind of pointless to have 8 SATA ports in that, but that just happens to be the board that I got. So this one will go into this project, where the 8 SATA ports will actually come in handy. I have an existing 32 gigabyte kit here, and I had bought another 32 gigabyte kit that I had hoped had matched, or hoped was going to be enough of a match that I'd be able to use these. Now, on an AMD system, you can't use the XMP or it's not called XMP. You can't use the DOCP, dynamic overclocking profile, when you have all 4 slots occupied, but I don't really care. That could be a future problem to deal with, because right now I just need the memory. So I had got a set of normal T-Force. I think they call it Vulcan. 32 gigabyte. But they called me and said that they didn't have any of that, and they substituted an RGB kit instead. So I'm hoping that's not going to go too poorly, but I have a feeling that it probably will. I'm going to put it into a new case, put it into this, because this will give me more more drive bays, and it's got a good power supply in it. This is basically a brand new power supply. This was saved from being thrown out at work. It's got one of these crappy old i3 530 things in it. What's that board? H55 gigabyte board. That's going to come out of there. Would be a nice board, if not for the fact that it's just so hopelessly outmoded. But I'm going to unbox some of this stuff and get this ready to go here. Somebody at the computer store messed up this order big time, because I did place an order. I placed an order for pickup, which I usually do, because it helps to do that. You know what they have beforehand. I've been bitten by that sometimes, such as in this case, where they happen to not have something because the inventory wasn't updated. But usually they can substitute something in that is useful. But in this case, I don't know about this, because I noticed that this isn't a kit of DDR4 3200. This is DDR4 3600. Quite a bit faster. So it may not actually work with this at all, even discounting the fact that I can't use XMP, but that alone is not really my big issue here. My big issue is this motherboard. This is the round board. If you take a look here, there's 4 SATA ports, not 8. What I'm actually looking for is the Pro-VC Wi-Fi, not the VDH. I don't know what the other differences are, but I do know, actually no, I do know one other difference. The VC has got the 8 SATA ports. The VC also has Wi-Fi 6, as opposed to this, which does not. Oh, that's the LAN. Never mind. I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Where's the wireless? Wireless AC. You can see there. It's not wireless AX. So, I don't know. I could live without wireless 6 because I'm not really using that kind of bandwidth. Although, technically, we've got fiber here. I could use that kind of bandwidth. But I would prefer not to because I got to share it with 5 people and I don't want complaining about, oh, you have all the bandwidth. The RAM, I don't know about that. I think, if I remember right, this stuff is like double the cost of what I originally bought. And I didn't pay extra for it, so basically I got a RAM stick for free, so I don't know if I should complain about that. But this is a problem because I could use it for the wireless bridge because I want to put that in that case anyway, and it'd be a perfect opportunity to. But I also don't really feel like pulling that machine apart today, so it's going to end up sitting. And I probably want to do something with this. So, I don't know. I don't remember when it closes. That store might already be closed, so I might have to wait till tomorrow to do this. Although it is only 5 o'clock. I think it closes at 6. Alright, I went and I changed the board. Because, again, I didn't want to take the other machine apart today, and I want to get this done, so... Or at least get this set up and get this started so I can do some testing to make sure that everything's going to be stable, because, again, I'm not 100% sure if that CPU is good. So, I have this. This is the one that I want. And you can see, if you look at it, as the mosquito tries to ruin my life, you can see there are 4 SATA there, just like the other board, 4 SATA there. 8 SATA ports total. This also has a different wireless chip, as you can see there. This is, what is that? This is AX compatible, which is good. Not that I'll use it. I certainly am not going to be using it for this project, but I might use it temporarily, at least while it's sitting out here and I'm doing my testing. Alright, jumping ahead a lot. You'll have to forgive the noise. It seems like every time I want to do something, somebody else has the same idea, and whatever they do is very noisy. So, anyway. I've got the board installed in the case. I have the CPU and heatsink installed on the board. And yes, I repasted it. You know, if this was some stupid, crappy, like, Pentium 4 thing, I wouldn't care. But this is actual valuable hardware, so I do care. They gave me 3 NVMe screws, even though there's only 2 places for them. So, I mean, that was nice of them, but I don't know what I'm going to do with the extra one. I've hooked up the front panel cabling. The only thing I really need to do is put the RAM in and then hook up the power supply. And then we can give this thing a power test and make sure that it actually works. I'm just going to go ahead and throw all the RAM in there because this board does have the diagnostic LEDs that I can use to tell me what's going on. So that's nice. Before I pair that on, I did want to point out that this is the guide it came with. There's no CD. I guess that's just a sign of the times. The ISIS boards still come with a disc, which I find kind of interesting because it seems like that'd be the easy cost-cutting move right there, but I guess they must be the only ones. I don't remember if my previous example came with one or not, or any of the other MSI boards that I've got around. Alright, it's now or never. It does have a PS2 port, but only one, so I'm using it with this mouse because the USB mouse I've got out here is a piece of crap, so I don't really like using it, so I just got this USB keyboard. See what happens. If it even works. I think that power cord's plugged in. Oh, there's lights. Interesting to see. Oh, it went out. I do have all that RAM in there. It looks kind of ridiculous. Like that. Is it going to go any further? Oh, there it comes. It does work. Wow. Oop. And that's back out again. It was on for a second. Just saw a light on the keyboard. Yeah, something is going on. I don't know what LED that is. I'm not so sure this is working. Oh, here it comes. Oh, that's right in the setup. Okay. Sees all 64 gigs. Sweet. Since this is using the onboard video, I'm not going to be able to use the Windows 8.1, but that's fine because I need to replace that boot disk anyway, because that disk that's in the existing machine is failing. So I'm going to swap it out for another one, probably a smaller drive, because 480 gigabytes is a bit much. I don't need that much for this. So I'll probably find a 250 or something, put that in here, and we'll go that route. And then we'll have to install Windows, because yes, I'm going to stick with Windows and VirtualBox on this, because I want to minimize the downtime. Would like to just be able to take the drives from the existing box and swap them right over. Okay, I believe on these MSI motherboards, the F11 key is what gets you into the boot menu. So hopefully, alright. Oh, I forgot to plug the SSD in. Alright. I can barely see it, but there is an SSD in there now. Now we're now going to install. Okay, I got Windows 10 installed. And I'd started to set it up, but that's where the good news ends. It is spontaneously rebooting. We'll see if it'll actually do it here on video. It's exactly the thing that it was doing when I was in my main computer, and I guarantee you that if I load it up with Prime 95, it will run forever. I'm going to log in here. It blew up twice during the OOBE setup. Fortunately, it didn't completely screw that up. Of course, you can see it's trying to run some stuff here. Go to the task manager, just take a look at things. Things are leisurely, not much going on. I've only got about 60 gigabytes of memory because it's obviously using some for the onboard video. Maybe I should put a bigger CPU with a video card in here, I don't know, but we'll see what happens. It's just sitting here. Now watch, it won't do it because it's on video, but it's done it 3 times while I've been sitting working on something else. Trying to get this set up. Because I'm trying to make this brief. But I can't be having this do that because this system needs to be stable. And I don't need all 64 gigabytes of memory for this. I could just, I could live with that because I would like to not fill up 128 gigabytes worth of memory with crap. Because I've already got one that's got 64. But again, we're sitting, cruising along leisurely. Not much to see here. It hasn't deadlocked yet, which is what it was doing before, but it's just rebooting. Of course, it's not doing it now because it's on freaking video. Okay, turn off some of this crap. Task view I might like. I'll leave that. I don't need the news and interests, and I don't need the search. That slims that down significantly. It's trying to download Windows 10 feature update. Well, it's not doing it. So I don't know if it was doing it because it was installing stuff or what's going on. I don't think it was. I think it just spontaneously rebooted. Maybe the system's under too much of a load to trigger that particular issue. Although my mouse just stopped moving. Oh, it deadlocked. Okay. So, there you go. It has locked up. No activity from the hard drive. Computer's not doing anything. I can't bring up the start menu. Caps lock doesn't work, so yeah. We have a CPU problem. I was hoping it was the power supply, but that means I've got to spend another boatload of money on another freaking CPU. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, because I don't want to get a big CPU. So it might end up just being like an R5 or something. Something cheap. Because I already blew a whole bunch of money on the board, and I blew a whole bunch of money on that RAM kit that I really didn't want to blow on, but, you know, I needed 64 gigs. So I had to. And now I gotta blow money on a CPU, so that's fun. Yeah, I guess that exonerates this. As you can see, I cleaned up. There's still dirt in there, but certainly a million times better than it was. Cleaned up this whole case to look up pretty nice. The only thing is, some of that dust just sticks to the fans. That's supposed to be a clear fan, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So, I guess I'm going to the computer store tomorrow and picking up another chip for this, because that's the only common denominator. It's a different power supply, it's a different board, it's a different set of RAM. So, you know, yeah, it's definitely the CPU that is the problem. So it's good to know. It's good to know that. And it makes me even more glad that I didn't decide to use this for the wireless bridge computer, because I need that to work, and I need that to work tonight. So I wouldn't have had time to, or certainly wouldn't have had the patience to tear it all apart again, but very irritating. And of course it's going to be the expensive part, rather than the cheap piece. The power supply, it's got to be the chip, so I don't know what I'm going to do for that, but I guess I'll be back momentarily, thanks to the magic of video editing, with whatever my new solution happens to be. Well, it's a windy evening. I think it's probably high time we revisit this. Considering it's been probably about a week and a half now. This thing. If you remember where we left off, I had just put this together and discovered that the reason for the stability problem in my main computer was the CPU that I have reused for this project. So, a project where I was trying not to spend any money just basically doubled in cost because I had to buy a new chip. And I ended up with the cheapest one that money can buy. I guess AMD has kind of given up on their whole Athlon thing because they haven't made a new one. And you can't even really buy the 3000G anymore. So I guess that's the end of that. But yeah, this is the smallest one that you can get. What's probably going to happen is when I upgrade my main computer, which at some point is probably going to get a, probably like a 5900X or 5950X, probably a 5950, just because that seems to be the worth it chip at this point for that platform. It's basically a dead end at this particular juncture, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'll probably upgrade that again to the 5800X3D that's in my computer now, my main rig. But until then, this should be good enough. I don't really need the CPU horsepower for this. What I mainly am after is the memory capacity anyway. And also having a new drive. Alright, out with the old, in with the new. I think the printing on these is exactly the same. It's funny how much yet how little changes. I'm still irritated that that chip is no good. But, you know, what are you going to do, right? I could, and I thought about putting it in one of these little plastic things, but I don't really care what happens to the pins on that because that chip is dead, so it's basically useless anyway. So now I just got to install the heatsink, and that might be fun because I believe that the plate on the bottom is now a little bit dislodged. Something is odd about this heatsink. I think it's exactly the same as the one that I just pulled out, other than the fact that it's obviously brand new. But look at that thermal pad. I bought some 5600 GTs for a project at work recently, and they just have a little circle. I mean, I guess it's not little, but there's a circle in the middle, as opposed to this. So, I don't know what's up with that. Okay. Here we are, ready to go. With the heatsink, you'll also notice the wire is routed properly on. Again, a lot of the ones I've dealt with recently don't have that routed. They have it routed the wrong way, such that the way that you install this heatsink, or the way that you'd think to install this heatsink, would put that nub right up against the RAM slots, and that's not going to work. So, speaking of working, let's see if this works now. Probably not, but you know, we could hope. I don't remember what key gets me into setup. Now that I think it'll matter. No, I just saw a light. Here it comes. Sweet. Maybe not. Probably still configuring itself for the new CPU. Light on the front. It's kind of interesting. This doesn't turn the power LED on the computer on right away. Okay, well that's not the best sign in the world. We have an LED again. Maybe it'll actually come on this time. There we go. Devices changed. Is it going to boot right up into Windows? Or did it reset again? I don't know about that. That's not the best sign in the world. Do we have another problem? There's a brand new chip, so there shouldn't be a problem. I'll be very disappointed if there's a problem with this chip. Here it comes again. Pro Series. Yep, now it's going right into Windows. Okay, let's see if it has lockup problems. I'll use it here. I'm going to install what I was working on. Alright, because this project cannot go without hitches, I've had problems with the video driver already screwing up for no reason. And the wireless is not really working either, so I just kind of gave up on that whole Wi-Fi experiment because I'm not going to be using it anyway, and I turned it off. So, let's do the naughty thing that I was going to do with this. And yes, we're putting Windows 11 on this thing. Well, not like that didn't take a while. told it to restart, and it didn't. That's high quality. This would probably run better if it had an NVMe, and eventually it will probably get that, but for right now, this is being done on a budget, so... And by that, I mean no budget. I've already blown way past it by having to purchase that CPU. So... But it is what it is. No introductory ditty. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to have to download some software to wrangle this thing into some semblance of correct. Let's try a BIOS update. The most recent release. I want to select this file. Now, it's going to update the BIOS, hopefully. Sure, it'll probably run into a problem because, you know. Okay, power itself off. Let's see what it does next. I'm definitely having some video problems with this though. The display keeps turning on and off. Reboot it again. We're out of focus. It could be a memory incompatibility because I'm using the onboard video. In fact, honestly, that's probably exactly what it is. It means I'll have to blow yet more money on a 64 gigabyte memory kit, which maybe I should do in the first place. Well, we're continuing to have problems even after outdating the BIOS, installing the video driver off of MSI's website, and sitting here waiting. It was still giving me problems. So, in the face of having basically no other option, I've decided I'm just going to do this right. Even though, again, it's raising the cost of this project exponentially. This is a 64 gigabyte memory kit. It is only 3200 megahertz. I don't really care. The 3600 would have doubled the cost of the RAM. And this already was quite expensive. Not too bad, really, in the grand scheme of things. It's not DDR5 at least. Well, I don't trust that that's in place. That bottom one, or sorry, the leftmost one. And let's see what it does. Hello? Oh, that's the reset switch. That's supposed to auto-power on. Wonder if my BIOS settings got reset when the BIOS got updated. That's probably what happened. So I'll have to look into that. Delete to get into setup. Press F1 to run setup. Alright. So we still have 64, so obviously that RAM is in place. I'm going to check this. Reset my settings. Well, let's see if it behaves any differently. I still see some glitches in the video, so I'm not terrifically optimistic. So far, it's doing better than it was. Where are you? There's my mouse. Let's change some taskbar settings and make this proper. Search. Off. Disappear. That might be useful. Disappear. Turn all that off. Alignment. Proper. Don't care, don't care. That looks fine. Okay. Again, so far everything seems to be okay, so I'll continue setting this up the way that I want it to be set up. And we'll see where we go from there. Alright, I think I've got this thing all prepared with cables. And I also added one additional drive down there that will be new. You can see I was going to add two, but as it turns out, one of the drives I want to replace is an external enclosure with a hard drive already in it. So I could just take that drive. It's a laptop style drive, so I'll have to grab this, pull that off of it. But that's no big deal. But I think it's high time we go get that machine and get that out here and get this switched over. Okay, before shutting it down, I've copied over, ignore that BIOS ROM file that was already on this USB stick, but I've copied over the VirtualBox XML file and all the logs, I guess, and also my start and stop scripts, because I will need those for this. So, let's go ahead. Everything is working here, I've got no issues, other than this, which is the boot drive. Which is one of the reasons why I want to do this. I want to get that out of there before it actually fails. So we'll hit the stop script, and that should shut down everything. Okay, my battery's about to die, but we should be good right now to close out of everything. Make sure that everything is closed. And then shut it down. Shut down anyway. Okay, here's the old machine now, complete with stickers. And apparently, I paid $13 for this Cooler Master case back when I got it. I guess that's not a bad price. But I forgot to grab my external drives, and I'll have to move these. Okay, I've got the drives all moved over, including the one that was in the enclosure. That was kind of a pain. Let's see what's gonna go wrong. Should have put a kilowatt meter on this to see how much power it used. It should boot to Windows 11, which it's doing right now. So then I'll have to log in and get all that configured. Disk check. Well, I guess we'll let it run its disk check. Okay, next step, now that I know that all these drives are here and accounted for and plugged into the correct place, I want to take everything off of this external drive and put it here. It might take a little bit of time here. An hour. Yeah, that's about what I expected. Okay, jumping ahead a bit, or a lot, because I'm kind of on a tight timer right now. I've gone ahead and moved everything over. I've got the VirtualBox set up, basically completed. Everything is accounted for, I hope. Well, not quite. There's a few things that are missing. Probably because they're on the wrong drive, so I'll have to correct this. Okay, we should be good now. All the disks are accounted for. I did do one other thing that I will need to straighten out. Oops. And that is this. Find it. There it is. Remove that. And that'll be that. I'll straighten out the rest of it later because I am going to have to go through these and change the network interface. But I think we're good to go to bring this inside now. Well, there it is. Are we putting bets on it having a problem now that it's all the way in here? I hope not, but somehow or another, given the way this project has gone, I would not be surprised if there are. Okay, it's on. Now, the display is pink, not because there's anything wrong with the VGA output, but because there's something wrong with that particular cable coming off of my KVM. So that's normal for small values of normal. Why is it taking so long to post? What the hell? Yep. Somehow I'm unsurprised that now we've run into problems. Work, damn it! Maybe yelling at it'll make it work. Oh. Well, my little indicator disappeared. Oh, there we go. Wow. Now, how hard was that the first time? I didn't change anything. Bet those USB drives are screwing it up. Wouldn't shock me. Alright. Hopefully, it will actually obtain a network IP address. It did, so it should be on my network now. Okay, so other than a brief little problem that I had with one of these that I straightened out, everything is now running. Very little RAM load. I expect that'll go up as these start running, because it should be quite a bit higher than that. And I've got 3 things here that need to go over there, but I'll determine that later. I think for the most part, once I move those over and update the scripts, this part of the project is done. Now let's move on to the second part. So my target for the old machine down there is this Dell Precision T3500. Which, as you can see, isn't particularly taxed. But I want to put something a little bit more modern there, drop the TDP, and maybe cut down on some of the heat output, because my experiences with these Dells is that they run hot. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that one just yet, but we'll start with this. While I'm waiting for that, this thing has also drawn my ire. I did that, replaced that recently, but I've noticed that it looks like I've got some problems with that, and I'm not exactly 100% sure where those problems are, or what it's doing right now. Oh, the console's open. I don't know where that console's open, but anyway, I'm going to shut that down and replace the board in that again, just because it's a little side project. I'm including it in this video because it wouldn't otherwise be worth making a video about it. Alright, here is the new equipment. This is an ASRock H510M-HDV/M.2, which I'm not using. Although it would be neat to actually do that, and I may do that at some point, is put NVMe in this and use that, because I'm going to have to replace my boot drive at some point anyway, which probably means I'm going to have to redo this entire server. And I suppose if this doesn't work, that might give me a perfect opportunity to redo this entire server. But for now, I'm going to put the cover back on this and hope that it runs, and then I'm going to start running some backup runs and verification runs and see if I still run into the same problem that I was running into before. Who knows, for all I know, some of these SATA cables could be bad, some of these drives could be bad, or both. It's definitely a possibility. Okay, I am going to have to do some network-related things, but for the time being, this should work. Assuming I've plugged in everything. ASRock. Use PBS. Should be able to just leave everything as is. The thing that gives me confidence that it was a system-related issue, and not a disk-related issue, is that those same disks, everything was fine when I had the old Dell sitting here. It was only when I changed to this that I ran into problems. So, hopefully, changing to this is going to relieve those problems. I also noticed that when I was running verification, which is what was failing on that, was the verification runs, the CPU was pegged at 100% the entire time. Now, I find that interesting because it was a Core 2 Duo E8400, which is not that much different from the Core 2 Extreme QX6700 that was in the other system, but I guess it was just different enough, or maybe there's reasons why this needs more cores. I don't know, but I'm hoping that this is going to be more efficient. Alright, there it is. Up and running. Now, it should be interesting to see if I come in here and I look at content, you can see where the red is. The red is right here. Let's see if I'm allowed to. No. It won't let me re-verify it. Can I force it? Alright, so we'll force that. Let that verify. I'm assuming it's probably still going to fail because the issue was elsewhere, but I don't know, maybe we'll get lucky. Well, that boot mode is EFI as opposed to not EFI. Anyway, back to the show here. I was actually installing updates on that machine, and now it wants me to restart. But we'll shut it down. Update and shut down. This is a hardware installation. I'm probably the only person who ever actually uses that for what it's intended to be used for. Okay, jumping ahead here. Got everything removed from that and installed in this. I have it ready to go. Power it on. I've probably got the two drives in there backwards, is my guess. Let's see if it just boots. No, it's booting to something. I did plug in the optical drive, I think. Well, I might not have, but it doesn't really matter because that optical drive, the SATA connector is missing. It's just the little metal tabs on it. Yeah, looks like we are running in 640 by 480, but it is there. I'll have to install all the drivers now. Okay, just getting the VM started on that. It looks like everything on this front is now good to go. The machine is working. And that should hopefully be a little bit of an improvement from what was here before. Eventually the system is going to be getting faster drives, or at least that's what my plan is. Because I now have a machine that will support SATA 6 gigabit per second, I might as well put 6 gigabit per second drives in it. But maybe I'll do that later. I will do that later once I've got some other projects wrapped up. For now, this is good enough. And that is going to conclude this video. Just noticed my camera was in easy mode. hopefully that's not going to affect anything, but that's it. So thanks for watching, and if you've got any comments, feel free to leave them below.